we'll see cultural in a second. Okay, material, economic development. Bringing, different kinds of economies or, developed economy, industrial economy, to an undeveloped area. What's this going to do? Well, ideally, it raises standards of living. Brings security, brings health and medicine, education, all those things that are part of the Western world. Institutional modernization simply involves developing the social institutions, like education, healthcare, government, in many cases. We can include that, that's an important one. Separation of church and state, that's not so important. I should take that out there. It's really, in some ways, yes, that's what some modernization theorists thought needed to happen. But we'll get into that debate here with religion here later, and cultural traditions. But government education, certainly. We'll hold that for later. Okay, so that's material and institutional. Lastly, here in this set, cultural or ideological modernization. So what does this involve? Now we get into some of the built-in assumptions of not just colonialism, but this whole idea of history moving towards something, we're all on the same path, that kind of assumption built into development theory and modernization theory. Okay, we're going to agree with this first one though. Democratic worldview. That's one, again, feature of the Western nations that have become successful. That they've done it largely through democracies, and again, we can debate that and say, I don't know, look at the wars in Europe and the past and so on. Anyway, democratic worldview. Number two, political rights and civil liberties, very important in Western nations, at least in terms of rhetoric. People have rights, we've got liberties, right? Those should be upheld. Okay, that's another part of our culture and our political views. Here we get into religion, though, and it's kind of more basic than that even. The idea that there should be no sacred or traditional right to power and authority. Now this is, I'm not arguing this, I'm just trying to state the theory here. I'll do that in a second, but the idea being that traditional power, traditional authority was part of this backwards kind of way of the world. The idea that you can hand the power over to your brother or your cousin here in the United States, what do we think about that? I mean, we would think that's silly. It's wrong, right? You shouldn't hand power and authority to just because you're part of your clan or your ethnic group. That should be wrong. Okay. Lastly, scientific worldview. Here too, we're going to see contradictions to these here in the West later in the semester. But these aren't so typical of the West. But anyway, for now, scientific worldview. That you explain the world through cause and effect, not through superstition, not through voodoo, not through some sort of other cultural belief that is antiquated or in the past. So that's me being glib about it again, but we'll get to the nuts and bolts of it, some of the core of it too in a second. Okay, so one last idea. This is a famous article written in, you see the year 1969. It's part of this idea that modern people, modern societies, modern way of life is fundamentally different from a traditional society or a traditional way of life. The basic idea that modern people are different from traditional people. Different in a lot of ways. I'm going to put up a list. Let's just know the first 2 points here. And I'm going to put up this long list of examples of what we're talking about here. So I'll just put it up. Don't be overwhelmed with, I'm not going to ask this on a test. But just, we'll know these first 2. Modern people are different. They've got different attitudes, different values, different ways of life. I mean, that's the theory. I'm not necessarily agreeing with that at this point. But maybe there's something to it. Anyway, what are we talking about? Well, Inglis here had this famous article as part of this modernization theory. Okay, openness to new experience, independence from tradition. That's part of what we talked about. Belief in science is the best, explanation of the world. Ambition, trying to become successful, liking people to be on time, following the news, here, the last one, and so on. Again, all attributes of modern people compared to traditional people, was the thinking, the thought. Okay, so just the first 2 points. Okay, so on that point, let's take a break here, and then we'll have just